worth it. She worth it. She worth it. She worth it, worth it. She worth it. She worth it, worth it. She worth it. She worth it, worth it.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Girl Talk Sunday podcast. I am your host, Sandy Best Life Jones, and I'm here to help women just like you discover the purpose and the plan for their life through honoring God, honoring their body, and owning your worth. Oh, yes, we are a faith-based platform, but all who come in peace are welcome. I am excited about tonight's show because this young lady who is going to be coming out in just a few minutes, her name is Amanda Hill. She is a very close friend of my niece, Kayla, and Kayla is the reason why Amanda is here tonight. And she has such a powerful story about how childhood struggles can cause you to develop addictive habits that can sometimes lead to other addictions. And those addictions can be very difficult to break. But Amanda made the decision that she wanted to be better. And she's going to come out and tell us how she took the reins of her life and embraced sobriety. And she's been sober now for about 6 years. I don't want to tell her story. She's going to come out and tell her own story, and she'll be out in just a few minutes. But before we bring her out, you know what we like to do around here. I have to tell you what I'm wearing. It is a paparazzi night, from the earrings to this absolutely gorgeous necklace. Do y'all see this necklace? Oh, I love it. It's just so luscious. I absolutely love this necklace. And my paparazzi vendor, her name is Nazmi Chantel. She always puts sets together for me. She puts the style together for me. So I told her that I needed a matching bracelet to go with the necklace and the matching earrings, and I needed rings too. And she put it all together for me. So my bracelet is paparazzi. Look at that. And it's heavy too. It's just such good quality. Both of my rings are paparazzi, earrings, and my necklace. So thank you, Mama Nay. You got me looking good tonight, girl. Thank you. All right. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone had a wonderful, relaxing Sunday. I most certainly did. I wasn't feeling well. I haven't been feeling well for about 3 days now. And so I went to Bedside Baptist this morning. I did actually watch my church service from bed. I did watch, but I did not go this morning because I needed to save my voice. And I'm still getting better. I'm getting my voice back. It doesn't hurt as much when I talk. So I said, you know what? The show must go on. So here I am, all for you. Mwah. I feel much better though, better than I did 3 days ago. So I hope everyone had a great Sunday. It was a really nice day today. And I'm excited about tonight's show. And I don't know if you can hear that, but something is beeping. And I need to go see what that is. Okay. I'll be right back. All right. I don't know what that was, but it's gone now. Too much. You just never know what's going to happen when you're live. You got to be ready. All right. So I want to make sure that everybody can see me and hear me. So if you're in the chat, go ahead and put a one in the chat. If you can hear me and you can see me. I prayed over my internet connection before I came live. It's going to do great today. I just have belief. I believe that my internet is going to be great. It's going to let me be great tonight. Yes, I see your ones. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to take this banner down and I'm going to bring out our guest. And here she comes. Her name is Amanda Hill. There she
Hi.
is. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, everybody.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Girl Talk Sunday sofa. It is a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Good, good, good. Now, before we get into your interview, I want to say this. I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to you and your family for the loss of your sister. I don't even think it's been a month, has it?
No,
No.
3 weeks, almost a month. It's been about 3 weeks now.
Okay. And
I
I
just got her
remember
ashes
when you
just before we left for Vegas. I got her ashes back. So, and that was like a week ago.
okay. I remember in your pre-interview we talked a little bit about your sister. And what was your sister's name?
Trisha.
Trisha. And you talked about the struggles that she was having with addiction and that you and your family had been asking her to get help. You wanted her to get help. Is this the sister that was hospitalized for a while?
Yeah, it's been about 11 years. She ended up being hospitalized.
Mhm.
She she's made the choice to live the life that she lived a long time ago, and she was hanging out with a really bad group of people, and unfortunately she was a needle user, and somebody had given her a bad set of drugs, and she ended up with 5 strokes, paralyzed the left side of her body. We had to teach her how to walk, talk, eat. She was in the hospital 4 months, and then in out like an intensive outpatient program where they were teaching her how to walk and everything. And she was in there for 4.5 months before she made the decision to go back to the streets.
And she survived all of that 11 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And she was in a coma for a while as well, right?
Yep, she was in a medically induced coma because of the amount of strokes that she had had. It had actually blown a hole through her heart, and she wasn't able to breathe on her own. So they had to put her under. And because of the amount of strokes, her mental state, she was very out of it and very combative with the individuals and the staff. So they did have to put her in a medically induced coma for 3 weeks. And I want to say about 2.5 weeks is when my parents had made the decision to sign the documentation that if she wasn't able to pull out of that coma, that they were going to end up pulling her life support. And 2 days before they were pulling life support, she came out of it.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I know what it is to lose a sister. I know what that's like. And to lose a sister to addiction, something that you yourself were dealing with not too long ago, just 7, 8 years ago. And to want so badly for her to get sober. But you said in the pre-interview that you now understood that you couldn't want sobriety more for her than she wanted for herself. And that you
Yes,
had
ma'am.
to remove yourself from not just your sister's life, but other people in your family so that you could run for your own life. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I ended up actually putting myself on basically like a personal restriction for almost a full year. I cut myself off from all social media. I sold my car. I shut my phone off. I basically went incognito for a little while until I could figure out what was most important to me.
Okay. Well, let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about your childhood. What was childhood like for Amanda?
It was a struggle. I was super bullied in school. I didn't really have a whole lot of people that I could depend on. I had my Aunt Tina, who I call her my auntie mama. She was always there for me and still is to this day. But as far as like friendship goes and relationships goes, they were super, very, very poisonous situations. My mom, unfortunately, was and has been addicted to medications for a very long time. To be honest, there's not a point in my life where I really don't remember her not under the influence of something. She was super abusive when I was younger. I unfortunately was sexually molested by a 40-year-old man at the age of 10. So that was, and I didn't get the counseling. My mom basically shoved it under the rug. So I didn't really get the counseling and the proper steps to be able to cope through that. I wasn't ever taught that. And so I went a long time through my childhood believing that the only way I would ever be loved is by allowing a man to have that part of me. And for a long time, that's what I gave. I didn't feel like I was worth anything more. Self-esteem didn't really come around until, to be quite honest, when I got married. I didn't have a lot of self-esteem throughout my life. And it had a lot to do with the way I was raised. I had, before my grandparents passed away, I have a lot of really good memories with them. They raised me for a huge part of my childhood when my mom didn't want me. And she made those words very well known verbally towards me and towards other people that she just didn't want me or she couldn't handle me. that there was points in my life where I lived with complete strangers who I didn't even know who they were. And they'd keep me for about 6 months. And then my mom would take me back, and then it'd be right back to the poisonous situation that we're continuing to go through.
What's your first recollection of hearing your mom say she didn't want you or she couldn't handle you? How old were you?
I want to say I was 10 or 11. And she had said it to, so all three of us girls have different dads. And she had said it to my youngest sister's dad's previous wife. And her name was Jennifer. She was a doll face. I loved her. She was a huge part of my life when I was younger too. She actually advocated me because it was her neighbor that did what he did to me. So she advocated for me when that went down. She was a huge support system for me. She physically told her that she couldn't handle me. And she's like, I just can't deal with her anymore. I don't want her. Will you just take her? And Jennifer was like, of course I'll take her. I love Amanda. I'd be more than happy to take her. And I lived with her for quite some time too. And then of course I got better, or like my mom would see that I was doing really good and she would come back in and try to take me and expect it to still be the same with her.
Did you have a relationship with your dad?
I didn't know my biological father until I was 22. The gentleman that I called dad today, he struggled with addiction when I was younger too. So unfortunately, he wasn't really around a whole lot. The times that he was around though, I have some great memories of him. I really do. And now that I'm older and he's older, we actually have a really good relationship together now.
Good. I remember when we spoke in the pre-interview, you mentioned that even your grandmother had some addiction issues. Well,
yes.
Talk to me about that.
So I guess addiction kind of runs in our family. My grandma had an alcohol problem. And then that's while she was raising my aunties and my mom. And then, to be honest, as a grandma, I didn't really see a whole lot of it. Because, I mean, she was my grandma, right? I looked up to her. But as an adult, like, I can see now that I'm pretty sure my grandma took me on a couple drug deals with her pain medication. Like, she would tell me that we were going to sell Avon. But, like, as an adult with the knowledge that I have now, I'm pretty confident that's, I kind of grew up around it. It's a sad thing to have to say and admit, but it was kind of a normality in my life. So I really didn't see anything wrong with it.
And I asked you too what you thought the root cause of these addictive patterns in your family were, and what did you say?
Oh, sorry, I lost you for a second, Sandy. What'd you say?
I don't know if you remember, but I asked you what you thought the root cause of these addictive behaviors in your family, what the root cause is, and what did you say? Do you remember?
I don't actually, but I do remember the conversation. I'm sorry, Sandy.
No, that's okay. You said it was lack of coping skills.
I'm sorry?
No coping skills. Coping
Definitely.
skills were missing, were lacking.
Yeah, that is definitely a huge factor in why addiction runs so thick. I would honestly say, because none of us, we've all went through something, but none of us got the proper coping skills to make it through those. So we chose a substance to help us get through them or over them, and it just made things worse. And we just passed it down. And that's all a part of breaking the chain, is you have to be willing to stop, be the person where it stops. And that's where I am.
Yeah. So as you went through school, as a child who was living from place to place, sometimes living with strangers, how were you in school?
Not good. I can honestly say I don't remember. The only time I remember ever having somewhat decent of grades is when my mom sent me to Oklahoma to live with my aunt and uncle. I was in, I had an IEP in school. And so I don't know if you're familiar with the No Child Left Behind law. Um, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
do kids justice at all. And being a child who had to deal with that, I can honestly say that they just shoved me through school. They just pushed me through. I had D's, and because a D was a passing grade, they just pushed me on to the next grade. I never graduated. Not only because I didn't really have a support system, but because I didn't understand anything that was going on around me, and I didn't have anybody to help me understand it. So I dropped out junior year, and that's when I actually got pregnant with my first son.
Okay. So school wasn't that great. You weren't always living with family, and even when you did, that was toxic too. So whether you lived with your mom or you lived with family or you lived with strangers, it was just a toxic environment, a toxic situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me, and I want to ask you this question because I often hear people say that marijuana is a gateway drug to other stronger kinds of drugs. Was that your gateway drug or was it something else?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it was my gateway. Did it
Mhm.
lead me to hang out with less successful crowds? Most certainly.
Mhm.
Did it lead me to be around people who were less trustworthy? Most certainly. And it
Mhm.
kind of, there for a while, it kind of grayed out my my reality. It really did.
Mhm.
I couldn't honestly tell you if a person was good or bad. I believed everybody was a good person, and even if they were taking advantage of me, it's okay. It's okay. They just need my help, and that wasn't the case. You know, I always made excuses for somebody, but I wouldn't say weed was a gateway. I would say my gateway was alcohol. Um,
Mm.
I
Okay.
felt the need to drown my sorrows and
Mhm.
my life and my decisions and everything around me in a bottle of vodka. And I would even pour it
Mhm.
into a water bottle and go to work like that, to the point where I ended up
Wow.
losing a really, really good job. And and then unfortunately, alcohol led me to cocaine. And then it just
Mhm.
spiraled further and further and further out of control.
When did you start drinking? Do you remember?
Honestly, I started drinking when I was 10 years old. I had my
10 years
first bit of
old.
alcohol for my 10th birthday.
You started drinking at 10 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Did an adult give you alcohol at 10 years
No,
old?
ma'am.
Okay. How'd that happen?
I hit double digits only once, is what I was told, and I was provided a bottle and my first pack of cigarettes, and I got messed up for my birthday.
At 10 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say or don't say the name, but who gave you the alcohol in the cigarettes?
It was my cousins,
Mm, mhm. Okay.
but I
Wow.
wanted to be cool, you know. I wanted to hang out with them. I wanted to be a part of them, and I was a lot younger than my cousins too. I
Mhm.
don't have I think I only have two cousins that are actually like within my age group, and they lived outside of the
Right.
state. So the ones that were in the state,
Mhm.
I looked up to. I wanted to be like them. Even if they were making bad decisions, I thought they were the coolest people in the world. Like they were the sparkle of my eye. So if they were doing it, I wanted to
Mhm.
do it. And I just
Yeah.
being pushed away for so many years by my mom, anybody that showed me any ounce of attention, I was willing to do or say
Mhm.
whatever I had to be a part of their life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of times when you see children who have unstable home life, and they are living from place to place, they very quickly assimilate to their environment, and to try to fit in, they become people pleasers.
I
And
have
whatever people,
certainly, yes, ma'am.
yes, yes, to get those people to like you, because they're your lifeline. They might be standing between you and your next meal. And so for them to like you and for them to feel like they can trust you, you have to try to be like them, try to do what they do. You agree with everything they do. Yeah, and you find yourself fawning over people that are really toxic and taking advantage of you. Was that your experience?
100%, Miss Sandy. You hit the nail on the head with that one. I just wanted to be like somebody. I wanted somebody to
Yeah.
tell me they loved me and to mean it.
hmm Yeah, and the absence of your mother.
That was a hard one
When
to.
did that? When did you really know that you didn't have the love and protection of your mother?
I'm losing
I
you,
don't know
Miss
if you heard me. I
Sandy.
think we went out. Yeah, I think we're back. Okay, we're back. We're coming back. It's
Okay.
just the internet. Okay, I see you now.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to hear my question?
No, ma'am. If you want to repeat that one more time for me.
Okay. So when did it become clear to you that you did not have the love and the protection of your mother that you needed? When did that become clear to you?
Unfortunately, at a really young age, my mom was super
Mhm,
abusive to me. Uh,
mhm,
I recall, I think I was my I had to have been 8 or 9 because I was still in elementary, and so I
mhm,
remember um, my mom worked at a bar and she was a waitress, and so she worked a lot of graveyard shifts, and she had come home one night really upset, and I think possibly hungover, and she was sleeping, and me and my sister thought it was cute that we could talk through the heater vents. And when we lived in that townhome, my mom became extremely abusive towards me, and I saw more of the abuse
mhm,
towards me than I did my other sister. Um, I noticed her playing favorites a lot too. Like she kept my other sister with her quite often, where I was pushed off to live at other homes. At one point when I was younger,
mm,
my mom and my dad had gotten into this really big argument, and I remember it being a super snowy night, or at least a really cold night, and my mom
mhm,
pulling us out of the house, and she took us to my auntie's house, who was her best friend. Sweetest woman I've ever had in my life, to be honest. And she sat me and my little sister down, and she looked at us, and she said, that's when she told me that her dad wasn't my dad.
mm. Okay.
And I noticed that it, of course, had affected me more than it affected my sister Trisha. Um,
Mhm,
but kind of from that moment, I don't know. I saw I was treated different. I was talked to different. Uh,
mhm,
there was times where she would they would move into a new place, and she would go buy my sisters all brand new bedroom sets and stuff, and I'm sure it was her way of like trying to make up for whatever she was doing to them too, that I wasn't there to visually see. I know, um I'm sure my sisters had to deal with a lot with my mom when I wasn't around. uh I
mhm,
was
mhm.
14 when I first moved out of her
Mhm.
house, officially moved out of her home at
Wow.
14.
Yeah. Did you feel like you were the protector for your sisters? Did you take on that role?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Even all the way up until
Yeah.
my little sister just passed. I still I even to today, like with my baby sister, I still feel like I have to protect somebody, like I have to be there for them.
Mhm. So let's talk about when the drug use started. And I heard you say that alcohol was like the gateway drug for you. And from alcohol, you started using cocaine. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old were you when you first started using cocaine? And how did you get cocaine?
I was, oh God, I want to say I was 26, 24,
Mhm.
25 or 26 is when I first used. I was in unfortunately, a really bad
Mhm.
relationship. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was until after I got out of the relationship. Um, but I guess he had some kind of a
Mhm.
connection, and he ended up getting it for the two of us. And uh, I want to say we were at someone's birthday party the first time I ever used it.
Mhm. Mhm. And so from the age of 10, when you took your first drink of alcohol till about 25 or 26, it was just alcohol for you.
No, ma'am,
That
I
was
was
what you were
smoking weed
addicted
with
to.
my friends out in the woods. I was partying like
Oh,
the
okay.
rest of the teenagers. I was making poor decisions, you know. I didn't have anybody there to tell me that the decisions I was making were bad at that time. So
Mhm.
it kind of goes back to me wanting to be accepted by whoever and whatever. And if there was a group of people that were willing to spend time with me and all I had to do was sit out in the woods with them at this carpet and this campfire and smoke weed and drink alcohol, then I was going to do it because I felt like they were my
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. And so when you moved on to cocaine, what was it about cocaine that made it so addictive for you?
Um, I guess it was just more of the crowd that I was with, that made it that
Mhm.
started that it made it fun. It was more of like a party
Mhm.
drug. Like it was something that everybody was doing while they were drinking and out at the club, and it helped you stay up longer, so you were able to stay out longer and have more fun with your friends, and it just kind of became a cool thing to do. I
Mhm.
realized that I had an addiction to it though when
Mhm.
while my sister was in the hospital in the coma. um, I
Mhm.
had got fired from for drinking alcohol on the job, and
Mhm.
um, I knew somebody in Tacoma who was able to give it to me, and and gave it to me for free. And so I
Mhm.
got some, and I did enough to the point where I went for 4 days and didn't remember anything. And I was like, yeah, that's enough of that. And so I quit doing that.
Wow, 4 days and you couldn't remember anything.
No, but I do know that I talked to people and I seen people and I went places, but I don't remember any of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
And
that's
then
when I
from
knew I had a
cocaine,
problem with that.
right. So from cocaine, did you graduate to even stronger drugs, or was cocaine the strongest drug that you were on?
So after my little sister got out of the hospital, um,
Mhm.
I thought I could help her and pull her out of what she was currently going through. Unfortunately, I followed
Mhm.
her down the rabbit hole.
Mm.
Um, I ended up, I almost lost my children. I made the poor decision to try methamphetamine.
Okay.
I lost my family. I lost my friends. I lost my job. I lost everything. I was in a very abusive relationship where I was in and out of the hospital multiple times because of how bad he would beat me. I was sleeping in my car. I was living in my car. I remember having to sleep in tents on the side of the road.
Mhm.
I remember not knowing when my next meal was,
Mhm.
not having clean clothes, um,
Mhm.
not being
And
safe. I was in so many unsafe situations. I, to be honest, I had a guardian angel looking over me because some of the situations I was in, Miss Sandy, I should not have made it out
mhm.
alive, but I did.
Who had your children during this time when you were
My
on
kids'
meth?
dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So him and his parents, God bless their souls, took my babies.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
almost took my rights from me because I wouldn't pull my head out of my butt.
Mm.
I was woke up by an F-250.
Mm.
That is something it knocked something loose in my head, and it made me realize that what I was doing wasn't right.
Mhm. And how long were you using meth before you decided, okay, it's either go get help or I'm not gonna make it out here?
Almost 4 years, Miss Sandy. Almost 4 years I was out there.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. So your first drink was at age 10, went from drinking alcohol, like being for seriously addicted to alcohol, into adulthood, then went to cocaine, and then from cocaine to meth, addicted to meth for about 4 years. And what was your rock bottom?
So it was a week and a half before my daughter Cora's sixth birthday, her sixth birthday.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I didn't really see my kids a whole lot or talk to them a whole lot, but when I did, they always told me things that they wanted. And so Cora told me that she wanted
Mhm.
a giant stuffed unicorn for her birthday. And even though I was under the influence, I wanted to make sure that my baby girl had this unicorn. And so I believe the
Mhm.
unicorn was given to me by somebody that I
Mhm.
knew while I was on the street. And so I took
Mhm.
it, I got it washed up at the laundromat. I was on my way, or no, I was on my way to go get it washed by the laundromat. And I was coming down South Tacoma Way on a bike.
Mhm.
And as I was crossing the
Mhm.
street, a woman in an F-250 wasn't paying attention, was on her phone, and hit me with her truck. I
Mhm.
flew over the truck, and
That's what you meant by you got F-250.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is quite literal when I say I was hit by an
Okay, I didn't know you
F-250.
meant that literally. Oh,
Yes, ma'am. So
okay, okay.
I, uh,
Mhm.
I remember laying on the ground on my back, holding the bike still and looking up, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just got hit by that truck. And it was hard. And I got back up and I continued to ride the bike to my destination. Um, and when I got there, I was in an immense amount of pain. And I just sat there crying. And the only thing I could think of,
Mhm.
aside from all the pain, was that I could very well have not have made it to my little girl's birthday and gave her the gift that she wanted. So after I went to the hospital
Okay.
and
And
had
that
them
was
look
your rock
over me,
bottom when you got hit with the truck.
yep, I hit rock bottom. I went back.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
got into a huge fight with the guy I was with. He ended up leaving, or I ended up physically kicking him out of my car on the
Mhm.
side of the street. And then I packed up all of my stuff.
Mhm.
And there was this gentleman who I knew. I can't remember his name for the life of me. I wish I could have, because he gave me the safest place I could ask for at that time to get clean. It was a shed on a piece
Mm.
of property with a wood burning
Mm.
stove and a mattress in it, and that was
Mhm.
it. And even while I was there trying to get myself better, I was continuously watching people around me use,
Mhm.
and people still tried to hand it to me, but I was strong enough to tell them, no, I'm getting myself clean. I need to be a better person. I'm going home to my kids. And that's what I kept saying to myself. I'm going home to my kids.
Mhm.
I'm going home to my kids. After 3 weeks of getting sober in that shed, I went back,
Mhm.
dealt with the reality of what I had caused. Um, I listened
Mhm.
to how I made other people feel, no matter how harsh it was and no matter how bad it hurt my feelings. It was something I needed to hear, and I stuck it out.
Mhm. Did you start to see yourself becoming your mom, meaning that you were estranged from your children while you were in the throes of addiction? Was
Yes,
that
ma'am.
heavy on your mind?
Yes, ma'am. Because the one thing I promised
Yeah.
myself is I didn't want to be like her. And I was definitely going down that same
Mhm.
exact path, and I noticed it.
Mhm. Yeah, you said something to me in the pre-interview that really stayed with me. You said, as much as you love your mother, you know that you cannot allow her to be part of your life while
Yes,
she is still in addiction. And no matter how much it hurts, you know that for your own sobriety, there are people that you love that just cannot be a part of your life. How did you get to that point where you were able to make that decision and create that boundary? Because that's a strong boundary. That's a wall. That's not a gate. How did you get there?
so I'm still getting there with my mom. That's a lot bigger of a hurdle that I haven't quite learned how to
Mhm,
overcome, but it's a work in progress. As far as
mhm,
letting go of everybody
mhm,
else, my happiness was more important. And I know that might sound
mhm.
very selfish, but at times we have to be selfish
It doesn't.
individuals. If you're not worried about
Yeah,
yourself, nobody else is gonna be. And that's the cold hard
that's
facts of
right.
the world that we live in today. You can't expect somebody else to be happy for
Mhm,
you.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's not selfish at all, actually. It's the best thing that you could have done in order for you to regain control of your life and then eventually regain control of having your children in your life. It was the only way that you could have done it. And the fact that you were self aware enough to realize you had to do it that way says a lot about um, the journey that you went through to get help. Now, did you go to treatment?
No, ma'am.
So the 3 weeks in that shed is what did it.
Yes, ma'am. All on my own.
Mhm. And that was 6 years ago,
What was that?
7
6.
years ago. Was that about 7 or 7 years ago?
6, almost 7. Yes, ma'am.
So you've been clean for about 6 years now.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. That's amazing, Amanda. 6 years clean, no traditional treatment. You just stole away in a shed with a wooden stove in on the
Yes, ma'am.
property of a man that you can't remember his name, but he opened up his home to you that you get clean. And you're trying to get drugs and you refuse to go backwards because you want your children and you want it to be sober. That is amazing.
It has not been an easy 6 years. I will be quite honest. It has been, life has thrown quite the
Yeah,
hurdles
I
at
bet.
me. But I will be 100% honest. If it wasn't for the the aunties and my
Yeah.
husband and my two best friends that I have by my side right now, and the family that I have supporting me
Hmm.
outside of my home, I honestly, I know I could do it, but it wouldn't be as easy.
Yeah. And so you're married now,
Yes.
and your husband had his own issues with addiction, but he's been clean 5 years, right?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct. 5 years going strong. The first day we met
Yeah.
was the last day that he
Yeah,
used.
it's
He
funny when
told
we
me I
talk
was his
about.
reason.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's funny when we talk about your husband, your face lights up.
I love him.
Yeah, I can tell that's your boo thing.
That's my
I can
best friend.
tell. Proud of both. Yes, I'm super proud of both of you. I've never been addicted to drugs, but I had a serious food addiction, and I know how hard. It don't even matter what the addiction is. Anything in your life that has overtaken you to the point where you cannot control whether or not you're going to eat it or use it or do whatever it is, that is an addiction. It doesn't have to be drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
It
It could
can
be a
be a lot
shopping
of
addiction.
different
It could
things.
be a
And so
gambling
I
addiction.
relate to you on that level. It could be anything that overtakes you and you cannot control yourself. And you have to have that thing. And you know it's not good for you. That's an addiction. So the fact that you were able to make a decision, I really want you to grasp. Oh, I want to make sure that you understand that you made a decision. And we talked about this in your pre-interview. The people in your life right now that are battling addiction have to make their own decision to get help, just like you did. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the work that you're doing with Key Bank because you are a professional woman, honey.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are working at Key Bank. You are, I believe you are a personal banker for Key Bank.
Correct. Amazing
And you're also
establishment.
working, yes, you're also working with a very, very awesome program called Key for Women. Talk to us about that.
So I can't say too much only because KeyBank wasn't able to give me the full permission to speak on the entire situation. But it's an amazing program that KeyBank offers for free for all women when they come in and they get a bank account with them. It's 100% free to open an account, 100% free to come in and talk to somebody about it. So if anybody's interested, go into your nearest KeyBank, sit down and talk to one of the personal bankers, and they would be more than happy to go over any details with you. It is an amazing program that helps young women start their own businesses and continue to persevere in success in their small business as well.
And if you want to find it online, you can go to this website right here. I wanted to make sure that we make it available so you can get more information and read about the resources that are available through the Key for Women program. So if you are a business owner or you're wanting to start a business and you are a woman, Key for Women can help you do that. So this is the website right here. And I'm excited about it. I'm going to check into it myself because I do have my own business, but I believe that I could be doing a lot more and we could scale up a lot more than we have. And so I'm going to check into it myself. So thank you for sharing that information.
Absolutely.
So tell me about life as a personal banker.
It's amazing. It's a
What's that
huge
like?
change. So I've always kind of like shifted more towards the sales. I've always been told I could sell ice to an Eskimo. So I ran with that. I started in fast food. When I first got sober, I started in gas stations. It was at Chevron. And then from Chevron, I went to 7-Eleven. And then from 7-Eleven, I went to Jackson's. I was at Jackson's and somebody came in and while I was helping them and they're like, I love your customer service. I think I have an amazing job that you would be definitely interested in. And that was for Assurian Tech Repair and Solutions. The U-Break I Fix is what most people might know them. And I applied there as a technician, which means I got to fix people's phones and their laptops and their TVs. And it was a blast. I loved it. I loved tinkering with things. Well, unfortunately, they ended up closing most of their locations a few years back. And I kind of struggled after that looking for more work, more stable work. I ended up going to a pawn shop, which was not my lifestyle. I could not work in a pawn shop. I feel like I wanted a career that was okay with my morals and wasn't going to go against that. And the pawn shop was 100% against my morals. I couldn't work in an establishment like that. So then I went to Rent-A-Center. I worked for Rent-A-Center for 2 years. It was a struggle. It was strenuous. I ended up on L&I. I came back from L&I and it was just a very stressful job. I wasn't able to separate the home life from work life, and it started flooding into my home life and becoming a little infectious. Me and my husband were arguing and it wasn't healthy. So I started looking for more work. I applied for Key Bank only as a teller. And then they interviewed me as a teller, told me I overqualified for that position, then interviewed me for the lead teller position, told me again I overqualified, asked me if I wanted to be a personal banker. And when I told them I had no experience in the banking world whatsoever, they were like, well, as long as you have experience with sales and you can talk to people, you're perfect. We can teach you everything we need to teach you. I went through a 4-week program when I first got hired on, and I now sit at my own desk. I have my own bank cards with my name on them. It's great. They treat me amazing. I work with a fabulous team. My boss is the whole reason I work with Key Bank. She highly recommended me to everybody when I first applied, and she pushed really, really hard. She's been my biggest supporter inside the Key Bank walls.
Wow. What an incredible story. From taking your first drink of alcohol and smoking cigarettes at 10 years old, to becoming addicted to cocaine, to a serious addiction to meth, to finally getting clean and sober. And now you are a banking professional. You are a wife. You are a mother. And of course, life is always going to come with its ups and downs. You're going to have a hiccup here and a hiccup there. But for the most part, you have been able to turn your life around because you decided you wanted something better. And you are such an inspiration and such an amazing example to your friends, to your family, to the people that know you, people who know your story. They look at you and they go, if Amanda can do it some way, somehow, I can do it. Do you see yourself that way?
I always tell myself, and I talk to my husband about this and my friends about this, I always tell them, I hope that someday that what I've done could honestly touch somebody and maybe help them change their life too. I don't believe I'm like Oprah Winfrey or anything, but I truly hope I'm making a change in somebody's life, even if I don't see it.
You still there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you. Yes, now I hear you.
Did you hear what? Were you
Well,
able to hear my
you have so
response?
yes, I hear
Okay.
you. And yes, I heard you. And I just want you to know you have so much love in the chat right now. People are just so proud of you and want to see you do well. And I believe that you will do well. You know, just continue to do what you've been doing. Take it easy on yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Everything's not always going to be perfect, but you've come so far, Amanda. And the sky really is the limit for you. I see you managing a bank one day. I really do. I see you as a bank manager.
It'd be awesome. My next goal, I'm hoping this month I'll be an official notary. And then Key Bank offers a program where they will help me. It's called LEAP. It'll help me become a private client banker. So that's my next step as a private client banker. So we'll see.
Wow. Well, you keep setting those goals and you check them off every time you achieve a goal. You check it off. Just keep going. That's my auntie right there up on the screen, Auntie Vern. She wants you to know that she is very proud of you, even though she doesn't know you. She's very proud of you. So many people in the chat telling you how proud they are of you. First Lady Jeanette Fuller is right here. My coach, Coach Rose AJ, so proud of you. You're incredible. Keep going. Barb Glassman
That's my
is
auntie.
in the chat. That's your auntie. Hi, Auntie Barb. Wow, so much love in the chat. I love to see it. I love it when people come on and they get into the chat to support the guests that come on the show, because people need that. People get nervous. They're not really sure what they're going to say. They don't always know what I'm going to ask. So it can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but you did really great today. Thank you so much for being here. This was a really, really great show. I wonder, Amanda, what do you want to say to your mom right now? What message do you want to give to your mom?
Sorry if I cry. That I love her a lot,
right.
and I wish that
It's
she
okay.
can make better decisions and be here for me, because I could really use her.
Yeah. Yeah. Even now, as an adult, you still need your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna pray. We're gonna pray for your mom that she can get the help that she needs, that she can first of all acknowledge that she needs help. Because that's, and you know this, it's hard to accept and admit when you have a problem that you cannot control and you need help. It's hard.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
think that's where she is right now.
It took
Yeah.
me a while to get
And I just
comfortable
want
with
you to
sharing
know.
my story and telling people that I was an addict. It took a while for me to get there,
Mhm.
so I could only imagine how it feels.
Yeah. And two, unless your mom has told you her personal story, you really don't know the depths of what she's dealing with and why she might be using drugs to numb herself from whatever trauma she's carrying in her own body, in her own mind, in her spirit. Unless she's told you her story, you really don't know.
That's true. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that you can't do it for her, but one thing you can do is you can pray for her. You can pray for your mom. If you can't do anything else, you can do that. Now, your sister who passed away, did she have any children?
No, she didn't get the the opportunity to bear children, unfortunately. I wish she would have, though, because she would have made a really good mom before her addiction, because she was an amazing auntie. I have
Mhm.
the greatest memories and pictures of her being one of the world's best aunts. Like, she loved her nieces and her niece and nephews very, very much.
Yeah. Well, again, I extend my condolences to you. And I want you to know that I'm really proud of you. And I'm going to be watching you. I'm going to be watching your progress because I think God has big things in store for you. I don't even think you understand how big, but it's big. So you just keep doing what you're doing. You keep doing the right thing because it's right, and right will come to you. And when things get hard, I want you to think about how far you've come and just do what you know to do because it's the right thing to do. And I just I just see the sky is the limit for you. I really do.
I appreciate you, Miss Sandy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I want to thank my niece Kayla for introducing you to me. I don't know where she is. She's supposed to be in the chat, but
Yes, Miss Kayla. I love her to death. She's amazing.
yeah,
She's hard
me
to
too. And
break
Auntie
through
Barb,
the wall. But once I broke through, she
she
can't
is.
lose me now. We have matching tattoos even. She's stuck with me forever.
Oh, oh, you're stuck for life then. It's just the
Yes,
way it
ma'am.
is. Auntie Barb said, Amanda is amazing. We are so proud of her.
I love you,
Yes,
and
I love
Barb.
it. All right. Thank you so much again, Amanda, for being here tonight on the Girl Talk Sunday sofa with me. You are welcome to come back anytime.
Most certainly, I would love to. I appreciate you, Miss Sandy. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. You have a good night.
You too, Miss Sandy.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That's our show. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody in the chat, thank you, thank you, thank you for showing Amanda so much love. it's not easy. It may look easy, but it's not easy to come on the show. Not really sure what questions I'm going to ask because I don't provide questions ahead of time. I just like to let the interview take on a life of its own and create the dialogue for the interview. And so people never know what I'm going to ask them. And so that can be a little bit nerve wracking. So I just want to commend Amanda. She did a great job. Her story is a beautiful testimony of the power of resilience and the power of a made up mind. Amanda did not get clean until she decided that she'd had enough. She decided my being a mother means more to me than being out here in the street addicted to these drugs. And she isolated herself from the life she was living, the people she was hanging around with. A man that she didn't even really know that well provided a safe place for her to go and to just get herself clean. She was living in a shed with a wood burning stove and a mattress for 3 weeks. She went in an addict and she came out clean. And she's been clean for 6 years. She went from being addicted to meth to being a professional wife and mother and working for a great company. So I just know that anything is possible. But that kind of transition, that kind of transformation takes a real decision. You can't do that by accident. It has to be intentional. You have to decide. And before you can even decide, you have to admit there's something that you need to decide about. You cannot heal it until you feel it. You cannot correct it until you confront it. And she confronted what was going on with her for all those years. Can you imagine being 10 years old and taking your first drink of alcohol and being addicted to alcohol from 10 to adulthood? Can you imagine? And I think there's something to be said about the power of the love and the presence of your mother in your life. Yeah, you need your dad too. You need your dad too. She didn't have her dad either until she was an adult. But you not having your mother in your life can send your life in a tailspin that some people don't recover from. We need that validation from mama. We need to know that she loves and accepts us. We need to know that if we're invisible to the whole world, at least mama can see us. As women, we talk a lot about how we need our fathers in our life, and we do. But we need mama to model for us what it looks like to be a healthy, balanced, happy, whole woman. And that starts in childhood. And so when that piece is missing, there's a huge gap in our self-development. And you heard Amanda say she was going from house to house. Sometimes she was living with relatives that she knew didn't really want her there. Sometimes she was living with strangers that she didn't even really know. And so she had to become who she thought they wanted her to be so they would accept her, so she could eat, so she could have a roof over her head. And through all of that adversity, she made a decision to do something better. Amazing. You are an amazing young woman, Amanda Hill. I want you to know that. I knew this was going to be a great show. I knew tonight was going to be great. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Yes, Lady Jeanette, Amanda is she's a true inspiration. Yeah, even if you've never been addicted to drugs or alcohol or had any other addiction, you know, that mother-daughter wound is real. And it's still there. And you could tell that because that's why she got emotional when she talked about her mom. She still needs her mom in her life. So our prayer, our collective prayer, is that Amanda's mom will go and get the help that she needs to get clean and then begin to work on her relationship with herself and then with her two daughters that she has left, because Amanda's sister is gone. She hasn't even been gone a month. She just lost her sister not even a month ago, almost a month, to addiction. And she said to me in the pre-interview, if my sister doesn't get help, she's not going to make it. And she didn't make it, but Amanda did. And Auntie Barb, my hat comes off to you. You've been so instrumental in Amanda being able to keep hold of her sobriety. So thank you for that. You've been one of the guardian angels in her life. I know you know that, but I want to reiterate that for you. She needed you and you were there and you're still there. And no matter what happens, you will be there. We all need an Auntie Barb in our life. I have a lot of mom aunties in my life. I call them my monties because they're like my mama and my auntie all rolled into one. And I have my own mother, and we haven't always had each other. We haven't always agreed. We haven't always been able to see eye to eye. We had the mother-daughter wound too. We were estranged for a long time, but God allowed us to heal our relationship. And I was a grown woman when that happened. And I still needed my mother. And I'm so thankful that she's still here with me. 76 years young. She's still here with me. And I thank God for her. And so we want to pray that God will heal the wound between Amanda and her mother and bring them closer together, while at the same time allowing Amanda's mother to get the help that she needs to kick this addiction before it's too late. That is my prayer for Amanda and her family. And I hope that those of you that are watching will pray with me. God can do it. But Amanda's mom is going to have to make a decision, just like Amanda did. So thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate you so much. The Girl Talk Sunday podcast will be back Sunday, March 30th at 4 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time for a very, very special episode. My guest is Isa Farrington Nichols. She is a best-selling author. She is an international speaker, and she is a DC sniper survivor. Yes, she survived the sniper. And Farrington Nichols is going to be with us on the Girl Talk Sunday Sofa on March 30th at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And I'll be sharing more information about that short. I'm so honored that she accepted my invitation to be a guest on the Girl Talk Sunday podcast. So I will see you all on March 30th at 4 o'clock. In the meantime and in between time, God bless you. Good night, and thank you for joining me. Good night.